Hey, everybody. I am Kevin Ioli. Welcome back. And I appreciate you joining me today. Today is one of my favorite fighters, not only to watch in the cage, but also on Twitter, because she just burns people on Twitter. And that is UFC strawweight Angie Hill. How are you, Angie?
Hey, I'm good. How you
I
doing?
am doing awesome. I am glad it's about time I got you on to chat about your career. But you've been killing it over the last couple of weeks with some tweets. So I gotta get this girl on and figure out what's up with her.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised the amount of like likes and retweets they've gotten. Because I always do that. I always kind of speak my mind, and if something weird or funny is happening in the MMA world, I always try to just kind of highlight it in my Twitter feed. Just make fun of situations, or bring to light some things that other people are afraid to say. So I was actually a little nervous about doing an interview because I'm like, well, like what could I say that I haven't already said on Twitter? Just because with, like, for instance, the Mackenzie Dern thing, I feel like a lot of the press that she's gotten is almost indicative of, like, the problem with media these days is when something negative happens, or when there's someone, I guess, like cheating or getting popped. Those are the things that make headlines more so than the positive things that happen in the MMA community. So yeah, I was kind of going back and forth in my head, like, should I continue talking about this? Like, I kind of already said my piece, but at the same time, that's like a fight that I want to make. So hey, why not
There's
use
a lot. There's a lot of stuff out there. But let me respond to that. Since I have been in the media longer than you have been alive, I'll kind of give you sort of my take on it. I agree with a lot of what you said. I think the media world has changed, especially in sports, now that there's social media and the fighters can put stuff out and online stuff. We kind of write what the people read. So a lot of fighters were mad when Ronda Rousey came up that all we wrote about was Ronda Rousey. I remember 20 some years ago, Tiger Woods' first pro golf victory was in Las Vegas, and I covered that. And other PGA Tour players were going, "Oh, you guys write about is Tiger Woods," and so
yeah.
it's like we write about who people are reading about, and of course now it's a lot easier online because you can read that. But you made some really, I thought your comments were really apt. So you won. Let me just get the date here. February 24th, you defeated Maryna Moroz on the Fight Night card. Mackenzie Dern fights UFC 222 on March 3rd, a week later. She's now fought a second time, and we'll talk about what happened in that fight later. You still said you haven't had a fight. How does that work? How do you not have any offer after that long a period of time?
Well, what I've been told is just that there's a long line of people who are waiting. I did fight like kind of consecutively from Nina Ansaroff to Moros. So that's part of the reason that I've been given that I have to wait a little longer. But on top of that, it's about draw. So if there's a person who is a fighter who brings in more views, they're going to get bumped to the top of the list. So that's where I kind of get annoyed because I've been working really hard to just be a good fighter,
Right.
be skilled, fix my flaws, and just continue to compete. And when people try to use the fact that one fighter is more active than another, a lot of times that fighter wants to be more active.
Right.
That fighter is begging every day. Another guy is Paul Felder. Like we're all trying, or at least the fighters who want to stay active, who want to fight 3 or 4 times a year at least. They want to climb the rankings. They want to get more fights under their belt and get that experience to become the best. And for me, because I only started in 2014, so I had a lot of catching up to do. And when I was in Invicta, I was able to get a bunch of fights in a short
Right.
amount of time, really grow. And that's where that frustration comes from. I know that I'm better when I'm in
More
the cage
active.
more often than not. And the long periods out of the cage just, it's boring.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, MMA is such a physically physically demanding sport, and I know you guys what you do in training. Like boxers go in there and they spar a couple hours a day, and then they're done. You have all different sorts of disciplines that you have to address. So I wonder what is feasible. We saw Donald Cerrone go, 5 and 6 times a year, and that impacted him. You saw that had an impact on him in the last couple of fights. What do you think is feasible and best for you? Is it 3? Is it 4? If you were the commissioner of the UFC, you could say how many times you would fight. What would be the right amount?
I definitely need at least 3, in order to feel, uh, some kind of progression. 4 is my preferred amount. It gives me enough time in between to grow a little bit, to improve whatever I didn't like in my last fight, but it still allows me to keep that memory fresh of what it feels like to be in the cage,
Right.
to like in front of everyone, like that anxiety, like I do believe in ring rust. I believe it's a thing, and I hate that feeling when the lights in the audience and everything feels unfamiliar. So yeah, I just want it to be like an everyday thing, like another day in the office. And so 4, I think, is a good amount of times to fight for me. Sometimes a little sooner if you get like a quick knockout or a quick submission. But most people are coming into a fight with some kind of injury or some kind of thing that they need
Right.
to let for a while after they fight, even if they get a quick finish. So I think 4 is like safe.
Here's the question that I think maybe a lot of people don't think of. You guys are not employees; you're independent contractors, so you only get paid when you fight, but you have expenses throughout as you have to train and pay to train. You can't get up to 160 between fights, right? We saw with some fighters that's happened and had issues. Uh, but so how do you deal with it financially? Like, is it a burden on you? Like when you're not getting regular fights and you're sitting there, hey, I need a paycheck to pay my rent, or I need a paycheck to, do whatever to pay your car payments, that type of thing. Is that difficult, and is that something that puts pressure on you?
Um, yeah, I think the hardest part is understanding taxes and how much you have to pay from what you get. Like you there are people who are able to like figure it out, do it in a way where they don't have to pay as much, but you're
Right.
still getting a huge chunk of your paycheck. Like half of it goes to taxes, coaches, and management. So when they see that purse, we're not just getting this huge lump sum, like
Right.
really getting our show money, if we win. So yeah, it's definitely stressful because last year I got the bonus. I was like, oh, I'm sitting pretty, and I was able to, relax a bit when it came to getting that next fight. But as soon as taxes come around, like you have to pay back so much, and if you're not smart with your money, luckily I'm very cheap and frugal, so I don't have as much of an issue as some people.
Right.
But eventually I want to own a home. I want to have like some kind of property that's not gonna depreciate in value as soon as I buy it.
Right.
And if I do want to buy a house or something like in San Diego, I'm gonna need a little more money and a little more revenue, and just hoping that those fights keep coming. So it is stressful, but
You got to win. I mean, I think the way the UFC is set up, you make good money if you become win and you become a champion, right? I mean, if you get at that very highest level, you do very well, and otherwise, you're always trying to get to that highest level.
mhm.
Is that accurate?
Yeah, champs get paid a lot more than contenders.
So, well, let's talk a little bit about when Mackenzie Dern missed weight by astronomical 7.6 pounds. I mean, that's what you would expect a sports wrestler by, not a professional athlete. She does that. She won her fight against Amanda Cooper. She would, I think it was Fighters Now in 2018 were 6-0 who missed weight, if I'm not mistaken. So obviously that would suggest that there's some kind of physical advantage to missing weight. Obviously, you get your pay cut a little bit, but there's an advantage to missing weight. In your opinion, like how did Mackenzie benefit from being able to fight, even though she had such a huge advantage over Amanda?
Well, I think Dom said it perfectly. The video's been circulating around, but it's basically cheating. Uh, Mackenzie was allowed to show up a weight class heavier than Amanda Bobby Cooper, and when you see them together in the ring, they look like they're in two different weight classes, and the weight classes are there for a reason.
Right.
Like, we're not in the pride days where you just had open weight tournaments, and you have like little guys fighting big sumo wrestlers and stuff like that. Like, we're all skilled athletes, we're all like looking for ways to have an advantage, and having like higher weight is a huge advantage. Just think of the amount of force, like any fighter who has a fight camp, then they go and get fat for a couple of weeks, then they go back into the gym. They'll tell you they're hitting way harder than they were like their
Mm.
just because they have that weight in their punches, they have more to throw. Basically, it's just physics.
But
So,
isn't speed power though, Ange? Because you think about it, like right, if you're quicker, you're going to throw faster, and your punch is going to have more impact, isn't it?
who's to say that Mackenzie wasn't as quick as she would have been at weight? She looked just as fast. She just looked huge.
Yeah. So what do
Yeah.
you think is here's the problem you have with that, and this is any time of fight, when Amanda Nunes got stick against Valentina Shevchenko, what do you do? Like, what do you do to a fighter? What's the right thing? Because the fighters want to fight. Amanda wanted to get paid. The fans want to see the fight. Like, what's the right thing in your opinion that should be done, whether it's UFC or any other promotion? If a fighter misses weight, is there a cutoff in terms of number of pounds, or what is the right thing?
At this point, I think it's up to the fighters. The fighter who has to fight the heavier opponent. Like, it's kind of in their hands, and it really sucks because someone like Amanda Bobby Cooper, she doesn't really have a huge name. She doesn't have a bunch of wins against high ranked opponents, so she's gonna take this opportunity. There's
Right.
no telling going to get that opportunity again for so many eyes to be on her fight. And it really sucks because, like, I feel like Amanda, she was already stacked to lose regardless of weight. But to lose in that fashion, it puts a mark on your career. It really puts you down on the list. So I think for Amanda, like, the smartest thing would have been to turn down the fight. And it's a calculated risk, though. Like, look at what happened with Leslie Smith. I don't think that was the reason they cut her, but like, she had the opportunity to have one more fight, or she wanted to have the opportunity to have one more fight
Right.
before instead she just had to take a check and leave. So it's really hard to as a fighter to turn down a fight once you've done all the work.
Right.
You're ready to show people how much better you are, and you don't know when that next fight's going to happen.
And you still have to pay your coaches, right? Because they trained you the whole time and all that.
Yeah, you still have to pay your coaches, still have to pay your manager. It's really tough on the fighter to say no to a fight, but I think it's up to them to keep people from continually using this weight advantage in their favor. Like, it's up for the fighters who are professional and who are coming in on weight to just say no.
Do you think if when the UFC has a fighter summit or something like that, that you guys can maybe bring it up and discuss with management and also amongst yourselves about a way, how to respond to issues like that?
Yeah, I think every now and then when something like this happens, there's a wave in the MMA community. I mean, I guess that's why my tweets were so popular.
Right.
But minds come together and they kind of say, okay, this is enough is enough. If this is what's going to happen when a fighter shows up and isn't reprimanded for missing weight, but then you have other fighters uh, who aren't allowed that leeway. It's just like, okay, well, maybe we have to take it into our own hands to do
Right.
something, like simply saying no to a fight, or simply pulling out when you know you're not going to make weight, or you're too far off to make weight.
Right.
Little things like this can help change. And yeah, like, I think the one good thing about the summit, it was really awkward because you're suddenly in a room with a lot of people that you've been asking to fight or
Right.
telling to fight. The one good thing about it is that you realize that all of you have the same concern. You know, you're all like you're all worried about pay or cheating or doping or accidentally doping. And that was the one good thing about us all being in a room together as fighters. But the summit wasn't didn't really address those issues, but at least we were all able to sit around at.
Side conversations.
Yeah.
Let me ask you now, because you're so outspoken and you have a lot of funny things to say, sometimes people come back at you hard. And, I like how you respond a lot of times, but I'm curious, like, when you become famous, you have a lot of people want to go after you, right? You had a Mother's Day tip, which I thought was awesome. Let me read it. You tweeted, you said, Mother's Day tip to all the moms of the trolls living in your basements. Want them out, stop paying your internet bill. What was the reaction to that one?
Yeah, I mean, most people thought it was funny, but I think a few of the trolls kind of crawled out from under the rocks and were like, "What are you talking about?" But yeah, I like to poke fun at the internet and just the environment that the internet creates, because that's kind of where I thrive. Like with my cosplay, you know, with my live tweeting during fights and stuff like that. That's where I've gotten my followers. I've grew up using the internet. I
Right.
grew using forums and stuff, and making memes and photoshopping my own things. So it's kind of like a community that I'm used to. So I feel like it's almost easy to poke fun at trolls.
Well, yeah, and how much of a problem is it? Because it seems like I can only imagine what it must be like to be a Conor McGregor or a Floyd Mayweather or Ronda Rousey and all the. But everybody seems like they know how to fight, and everybody seems like a tough guy when they're sitting on this side of the computer and not in the cage. Is it a pain for you, or do you just try to have fun with it? Does it ever bother you?
It only bothers me when I see people that I know getting upset about it. So people who know me personally, people who know that I'm actually a great person and very nice and sweet and fun to hang out with. When they see people trying to attack me for just being me,
Right.
or trying to be mean, for no reason other than, oh, hey, you're on the internet, let me be mean to you.
Right.
It does upset me to see their reactions to it. But for me, I've gotten really good at using my block button, or or scrolling down their feed and seeing what a loser they are, and then like kind of making fun of that. So either way, usually I'll just block them though, because it's easier and it's better for your mental health or whatever. But yeah, it's definitely something that every fighter that I've talked to has had to vent about.
Right.
We're all on the big stage. It's easy to say, "Oh, hey, I have an opinion as a fighter," but then they could go, "Your opinion sucks. Look at your share dog," and it's like, well, I can't like dig up dirt on you, but I bet your life is really fucking sad.
Yeah.
It's you kind of just have to accept that the fact that anyone who would say that to you is very sad or has nothing good going on for them, and just leave it at that. Just block them and ignore it.
I think the greatest invention, especially for somebody like you, is the mute button. Because when you block them, you lose the follower, right? But it looks a lot better if you keep the follower, but you just mute them, and they can say all they want, and you're not bothered by it, and you still have the followers. So when they look at your Twitter, oh my lord, look at how many followers he has. So remember that one.
Yeah, but sometimes I'll mute someone, and then like months later I'll be like, "What is this person talking about?" And then I'll unmute the person they're talking to, and I'm like, "Oh, I should have blocked that guy." So that's your second straight, yeah.
Well, let's wrap this up. I really appreciate your time with this. What do you think is next? Who do you have your eye on, and when do we think we might see you fight again?
When they've given me July or August. So I'm hoping that's true. Right now I'm just training, working hard. I never stop training. I'm always in the gym.
Any
And
names?
was that any the only reason Dern isn't at the top of my list is because I want to fight. I don't want to fight a flyweight. I want to fight someone who shows up on weight. If she can do that, like I'm sign me up. I'll fight her in a heartbeat. Aside from that, who else? I know Carolina doesn't have a fight right now, and I think that's a really good match for me. We both have like a Muay Thai base. Her grappling is good, but I think I'm better. I think I could outstrike her. Aside from that, I just want to get in there as soon as possible. Like, there's a lot of people who I do want to fight who have either just fought or are on suspension, and it sucks because like I want to fight now.
Right.
If they, if anyone's available for July or August, I'm down.
If we get you in, Mackenzie, we can hashtag it the fight for 15, right? So that would be the battle, the fight for 15, the ranking system.
15. No, people have been hashtagging Big Mac versus Overkill, so I like
There
that one.
we go. Well, Angie, we appreciate it. Your former Invicta champion, UFC strawweight. I didn't mention earlier, undefeated as a kickboxer, which is also very impressive.
Thank
This,
you.
this girl has it all. Angie, we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Flat.